Our group had the pleasure of learning about Walnut Hills and meeting with leaders within the community. Through our research and conversations, we discovered the neighborhood's greatest assets and concerns. Walnut Hills is a diverse, urban neighborhood located in the city of Cincinnati, approximately 3 miles from downtown. According to the 2019 American Community Survey, the population of Walnut Hills is roughly 52% male and 48% female, and 66% of residents identify as Black. The neighborhood's main commercial district includes numerous restaurants and businesses, many of which are locally owned. Parks, playgrounds, communal gathering spots, and community gardens are scattered throughout the neighborhood, and Eden Park, a popular 186-acre urban park featuring gardens, lakes, picnic shelters, playgrounds, wetlands, walking paths, and a natural playscape, is located in Walnut Hills as well. Sidewalks are often available and in good condition. 80% of Walnut Hills residents report having safe sidewalks in their neighborhood. Many community members walk or take public transportation routinely, as 52.9% of renters in the neighborhood do not have access to personal transportation. There are no hospitals or grocery stores within the Walnut Hills community. Residents must travel to neighboring communities to access these life-sustaining services. In a 2017 survey conducted by Interact for Health, 71% of Walnut Hills residents said they can depend on others in the community. 51% said living in their community gave them a safe feeling. 70% said that others in the community would help in times of trouble, and 63% rated the neighborhood as a healthy place to live. The median household income in Walnut Hills is $19,885, and 37% of the community is living in poverty. As a point of comparison, the median household income in Cincinnati is $40,640, and 26.3% of the city's population is living in poverty. Per the 2020 census, 30% of adults living in Walnut Hills have not attained a high school diploma. Comparing Walnut Hills to Cincinnati, Walnut Hills has a lower life expectancy rate by about 5 years, as well as a higher mortality rate. Overall, Walnut Hills has an average of 5.6 years of potential life lost. As mentioned earlier in this video, Walnut Hills is a food desert, as there are no grocery stores in the neighborhood. All the community members we met with over the course of this project expressed that food insecurity is a significant problem in Walnut Hills, which is supported by data. Per the Interact for Health survey, 25% of Walnut Hills residents report eating the daily recommended number of fruits and vegetables, and 70% are considered overweight or obese. 46% of households in Walnut Hills rely on SNAP benefits to purchase food. Additionally, the 5 most prevalent diseases in Walnut Hills include cerebrovascular disease, diabetes mellitus, heart failure, hypertensive heart disease, and malnutrition, all of which are related to diet. An ever-growing body of research illuminates the many connections between food insecurity and health across the lifespan. A recent study found that as the severity of food insecurity increases, the prevalence of chronic disease increases by 16% after adjusting for other demographic and socioeconomic factors. Additionally, food insecure individuals living with chronic illness demonstrate worse disease control than do their food secure counterparts. Chronic disease, such as diabetes mellitus, also increases one's out-of-pocket medical costs and may contribute to one's absenteeism from work. This increase in costs and decrease in employment further increase the risk of food insecurity. So just as food insecurity increases a person's risk of acquiring a chronic disease increases a person's risk of experiencing food insecurity. To help combat food insecurity and the fact that Walnut Hills is a food desert, the community hosts a weekly Healthy Harvest mobile market, a mobile grocery store that brings fresh, healthy, affordable food to the neighborhood in the old Kroger parking lot. Thanks to the 2018 Farm Bill, residents who qualify can use their SNAP and Produce Perks benefits at the mobile market. We interviewed Gary Dongle, a community leader and activist in Walnut Hills who is working to fight food insecurity in that neighborhood. Here is what he had to say.
So I'm the Food Access Coordinator for Walnut Hills Redevelopment Foundation, and my role is to address food insecurity. So we're a food desert. We've been a food desert for 4.5 years. So we are trying some short-term and long-term strategies for helping our residents to get access to affordable and healthy and convenient food. Yeah, so we want healthier outcomes. Ultimately, food access is part of it, but ultimately you want your residents to be just healthier and have healthier outcomes and live longer. The gardens have been a great way to do two things. One is to provide people with access to carrots and lettuce and tomatoes and peppers and whatever else anybody wants to grow. And then the second part of that is it builds community. So people that typically might have walked past each other on the sidewalk and not spoken are now in the gardens working together, and then it's a real natural way to get to know your neighbors. So that's been a really wonderful thing where people have become friends out in the garden.
This is Betty Waite, another Walnut Hills community leader and activist who is fighting food insecurity. We interviewed her to find out how the loss of Kroger has impacted the community.
Well, the Kroger building, first of all, was more than a grocery store in Walnut Hills. It was a community gathering point. People would go there and you'd run in for a gallon of milk and be stuck in there for an hour because you run into all your neighbors. But the other big, huge thing is that there's, first of all, surrounding that Kroger building were a bunch of elderly apartments, and older seniors could just go every couple days. The hassle, it's more onerous to go for bigger shopping trips once a week versus every 3 or 4 times a week. And then they have to lug all those packages home because so many of them don't have cars. So that was just a big social problem. It was an economic problem too, but it was even more of a social problem. In addition, if you also around the Kroger were some family housing, family apartments. And if you have 2 or 3 kids, you have to drag them onto the bus because most of those people don't have cars either. You have to drag them onto the bus. You have to drag them around the grocery store. You have to drag them home. You have to lug the groceries from the bus stop to, and the bus stop might be a couple blocks away from your apartment, whereas the Kroger was just right there. I think it made people turn to convenience stores for food more, which is not, so they weren't eating as much fresh produce because they were buying more shelf stable stuff so that they didn't have to, go to the grocery stores often. And that means that they weren't getting, as much nutritious fresh food.
As the words and actions of Gary and Betty demonstrate, ensuring that Walnut Hills residents have access to healthy food is of the utmost importance to the members of that community, and as nursing students, we couldn't agree more. We decided to focus our intervention on food insecure adults living in Walnut Hills. Here is our priority nursing diagnosis for the community. Imbalanced nutrition, more than body requirements among Walnut Hills residents related to lack of access to fresh produce and healthy food, as evidenced by increased rates of obesity, cerebrovascular disease, diabetes mellitus, heart failure, and hypertension. The purpose of our intervention was to promote healthy eating using available and affordable community resources. To achieve this, we made 7 recipe cards featuring healthy, simple, low-cost, flexible, and quick recipes, as well as a guide to making several easy salads, dressings, and soups. All the ingredients required can be found at the public Walnut Hills Community Gardens, the Healthy Harvest Mobile Market, or local convenience stores. Another perk of the recipes is that they're open-ended, meaning that ingredients can easily be substituted based on availability or price. We created a variety of standalone cards so that residents could build their own recipe books, curated to their personal taste and dietary preferences. Once we had created the recipe cards, our group participated in the Walnut Hills Healthy Harvest Mobile Market event on Friday, October 29th. At the event, we set up a table on which we displayed samples of our recipes as well as the recipe cards. Community members were able to taste our recipes and grab recipe cards so that they could recreate their favorites at home. Per the informal assessment data we gathered during the mobile market event on October 29th, our intervention was a great success. Approximately 90% of individuals who participated in the event visited our table, and about 95% of those who stopped by tried a sample. Approximately 80% of the individuals who tried one or more samples took at least one recipe card with them. Many people who sampled our recipes commented on the quality of the food and stated that they would like to try making them at home. During our time at the market, a local priest and deacon from the Church of the Advent expressed their excitement about our intervention and said that we had inspired them to do something similar through their church with the goal of impacting the community in the long term. We feel that our intervention effectively demonstrated the community's desire to eat healthfully. For the greatest impact, we would need to be regular attendees at the weekly Healthy Harvest Mobile Market, where we could continue to engage with the community and ensure that the recipes we provide are responsive to the community's needs and tastes. Long-term engagement would also allow us to track the success of our intervention over time. Ideally, by eating more of the healthy, accessible recipes we created and less of the highly processed food readily available in local convenience stores, the food insecure residents of Walnut Hills would demonstrate better health outcomes.